We are both looking for ways to stop it very soon. And I told the president before we came in that he is the key person in the world who can really do that now by putting pressure on Russia. And we will have this debate later on again, how we can proceed jointly between the Europeans and the Americans. And I think we are having the duty to do something on that now, to stop it after 3.5 years. So we are talking about instruments, measures, what we can do, and my personal view is clear on that. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we are trying to get them stronger and stronger just to make Putin stop this war. And this is our.
US President Donald Trump allows the war in Ukraine to continue. In a call with Putin, he did not succeed in stopping Russia's attacks on Ukraine despite Russian strikes. Trump also threatens to impose sanctions on Ukraine. So what is his latest statement, and why does he want the war to continue? US President Donald Trump met with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz to discuss the war in Ukraine. On Thursday, Trump suggested that it might be better to allow Ukraine and Russia to fight for a while before intervening to separate them. During a meeting in the Oval Office with Merz, Trump compared the war in Ukraine, which Russia invaded in 2022, to a conflict between two young children. He noted that he had shared this analogy with Russian dictator Putin with their phone call. When asked about Trump's comments while sitting next to him, Merz emphasized that he and Trump agreed on the terrible nature of the war, pointing out that the US president is a key person in the world who could help to end this conflict. However, Merz also emphasized Germany's support for Ukraine and says that Kyiv was targeting only military objectives and not Russian civilians. In his remarks on Thursday, Trump kept the option of sanctions on the table, indicating that sanctions could be imposed on both Ukraine and Russia.
Sometimes, and this is me speaking maybe in a negative sense, but sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart. And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. I said, President, maybe you're going to have to keep fighting and suffering a lot because both sides are suffering before you pull them apart, before they're able to be pulled apart. But it's a pretty known analogy. You have two kids, they fight. Sometimes you let them fight for a little while. You see it in hockey, you see it in sports. The referees let them go for a couple of seconds, let them go for a little while before you pull them apart. And maybe, and I said it, and maybe that's a negative because we're saying go, but a lot of bad blood. There's some bad blood between the two. I have to deal with it. And
Mr. President, so would you consider to put more sanctions on Russia? Because this discussion is going on now for weeks and months, and you tweeted about it once, but then nothing happens. So
yeah, when I see the moment when we're not going to make a deal, when this thing won't stop,
is there a deadline?
If that moment, yeah, it's in my brain, the deadline. When I see the moment where it's not going to stop, and I'm sure you're going to do the same thing, will be very, very, very tough. And it could be on both countries, to be honest. You know, it takes two to tango. But we're going to be very tough. There's some additional fighting that's going to go on. You know, he attacked, and they attacked pretty harshly. They went deep into Russia. And he actually told me, I mean, I made it very clear. He said, we have no choice but to attack based on that. And it's probably not going to be pretty. I don't like it. I said, don't do it. You shouldn't do it. You should stop it. But again, there's a lot of hatred.
Meanwhile, US President Trump has expressed frustration that the Ukrainian strike on Russia could escalate the conflict, according to the three administration officials and official advisors, the Atlantic reports. A recent drone strike has sparked debate in the White House about the US commitment to Ukraine. Trump criticized Zelensky, calling him a bad guy and a hothead. He believes Zelensky should focus on negotiating with Russia rather than showcasing military actions. After speaking with Putin, Trump shared posts that they discussed Ukraine's attacks, including recent targeting of Russia's aircraft. He noted that while their conversation wasn't good, it wouldn't lead to immediate peace, as Putin asserted the need for a response to attacks. Trump has not revealed whether he advised Putin against retaliation and remains undecided on next steps. Options presented to him include sanctions on Russia and reducing aid to Ukraine. Also, Trump told aides this week that he does not believe a summit with him and Zelensky and Putin, which he once hoped would be a way to bring the war to an end, will happen anytime soon, according to The Atlantic. Russia's President Putin dismissed the proposal and intensified his attacks on Ukrainian cities. This escalation prompted US President Trump to threaten to pull out of peace negotiations, demonstrating a display of frustration toward Putin. Hopes for progress during his week strolls in Turkey quickly faded as devastating drone strikes overshadowed discussions. According to pre-military estimates from the White House, this air assault launched from 5 different time zones within Russia targeted nuclear-capable bombers and inflicted billions in damage. The US was reportedly blindsided by the attack, hiding concerns over communication and transparency. Adding to the tension, signs emerged that the Biden administration may be shifting its stance on Ukraine. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's absence from a crucial meeting of 50 defense ministers at NATO raised eyebrows, says this was the first time in 3 years that US Defense Secretary skipped the meeting, which has historically been vital for coordinating support for Ukraine. Meanwhile, according to Axios, President Trump thought Ukraine's surprise drone attack over the weekend was strong and badass. Sources who discussed it with him tell Axios. Ukraine launched a coordinating operation targeting Russia's strategic air bases. Ukraine possesses more leverage than Trump initially acknowledged, according to Axios. During a recent conversation, Trump relays that Putin expressed a strong intent to retaliate, stating, quote, "It was a good conversation, but not one that will lead to peace." Interestingly, Trump has kept relatively silent in public about his views on Ukraine's attack. However, behind closed doors, he expressed admiration for the operation. According to the sources he described as pretty strong, with another source adding that he found it badass. On the flip side, Trump has voiced concerns that this attack could provoke a retaliation from Putin. Those close to him reveal that he worries this escalation may derail his diplomatic efforts to end the war in Ukraine after the 3 years of war. Quote, "We want this war to end. We want it to de-escalate. If Putin goes crazy, yes, the president has concerns," a source close to Trump stated. Meanwhile, Putin commented publicly, asserting that the recent attacks cast doubt on possibility of future ceasefire deal or any high-level discussions with President Zelensky, and the reality on the ground paints a grim picture, according to Axios, because there has been no sign of breakthrough. And Zelensky pointed out that Putin has been resistant and reluctant to agree to any kind of a ceasefire. In a pointed message on X, Zelensky said, quote, "Unfortunately, Putin feels impunity. Even after all Russia's attack, he is reportedly preparing yet more so-called responses. With each strike and every delay in diplomacy, Russia is signaling to the world, to all those who still hesitate, to ramp up the pressure on Russia." Additionally, tensions have flared between US President Donald Trump and his former advisor Elon Musk as two engage in exchange of insults. The clash erupted when Musk took aim at one of Trump's major domestic policies and criticized this bill. The clash between two billionaires escalated as they exchanged barbs on their social media accounts. On Thursday, Trump expressed disappointment with Musk's criticism of his tax spending bill, suggesting their great relationship might be ending. Musk retaliated by accusing Trump of ingratitude, claiming he was pivotal to Trump's electoral victory. After extensive online sparring, Trump downplayed the conflict, stating it was going very well. Meanwhile, Musk appeared to urge agreeing with a suggestion from Trump backer Bill Ackman that they should make peace. The rift intensified after Musk criticized Trump's spending bill, labeling it as a disgusting abomination and urging followers to oppose it. Trump defended the bill, suggesting Musk was upset over the removal of electric vehicle subsidies. Musk denied this and took credit for the Republican electoral success. He even posted a poll asking about forming a new political party in response to these remarks, including a call for Trump to resign and claims linking Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. The White House condemned Musk allegations. Trump claimed Musk had gone crazy and suggested cutting subsidies for Musk's companies. As a result of this big clash, Tesla stocks plummeted by 14%. That's all for today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and glory to Ukraine!